And really good time to find out that I didn't even think my volume was on. But it turns out it was. So, that's good. So in 2022, when my first child passed away, I did not get any support from my biological family members. I did not get any support at all. They all wanted to know what happened to my son. They were all criticizing me. And then one of my biological sisters stands up and says that I have to blame my husband for our son passing away. Because it had to have been someone. Has she never heard of SIDS? I'm sure she thinks she's a perfect mother because she's so overprotective and watchful of all of her kids that she's never lost a child to SIDS. And that's perfectly fine for you, but it doesn't mean that it's not a reality for some people. And it certainly doesn't mean that every time a couple loses a child from SIDS, they have to break up. Losing a child does not mean that you break up. My camera is just a little slow, so it's messing up the way that I see everything on the screen. But I'm not going to fix it until after I finish filming these videos. So one of the first things that my biological family said about my son passing away in 2022 is that somebody had to be blamed for this, and it had to be my husband. And there is no way I was getting back with him, especially after we had just lost a child together. They just insisted that I had to leave my husband for life. I had spent 2 years with this man. I had just had a child with him. There's no way that I was going to leave him, no matter what. Unfortunately, this was the worst part. I was separated from my husband the summer that our son passed away, so I had no one else to live with. I ended up having to live with 2 of my family members again. And where they encouraged me to make up lies about my husband. They bullied my husband to my face, telling me that I wasn't supposed to get back with him anyway. They kind of seemed to pretty much ignore the fact that I told them that none of them could meet my son. Yeah, like psychopaths who want to forget. It's hot in this house. My husband likes it really hot in this house, so I am not allowed to turn the heat down. He's a fucking baby. And 2022, closer to fall 2022, what was about to be fall 2022, I guess. Me and my husband reconciled, and I moved back in with him. But not after I had to endure more abuse from my biological family members, because if I'm not living with my husband, I had to live with them. I have never had my own home. I wasn't allowed to. And then when I was living with my husband, I moved in with him. So that's just the way my life has been. Either I lived with my family members, either I lived with my biological family members who were extremely abusive to me, or I lived with my husband. I've never owned my own home, so I had nowhere else to live. But approaching fall of 2022, after me and my husband had lost our child together and we were communicating with each other, mainly through text messages and deciding if we wanted to get back together or not. I thought, I just spent 2 years with this man. I just had a child with him. He was a first child. Of course I'm going to get back with him. No matter what. Because, he was my fiance, now he's my baby daddy, and we had just had a beautiful child together and then lost him, and of course I'm gonna get back with my husband and be with him again. So eventually I met back up with my husband and we talked about it, and he decided that he wanted to take me back, and I moved back in with him. And I sat down with him in our home and I told him everything that my biological family members did to me, since everything that they did to me and everything that they had said to me since me and my husband's firstborn child had passed away, and that they're just being incredibly cruel to me and questioning my son's death instead of giving me support as a grieving mother. Because you would think that the people who love you and support you would say nothing less than, I am so sorry that you lost your son. Nah, it's your fault. How could you let your baby die? That's how they treated me. Telling me, you better not get back with his father. We told each other, me and my husband sat down in a home after we got back together and I moved back in. We told each other all of the ways that we had separately been treated since it had become public knowledge that our son had passed away in both of our families. When it was almost fall of 2022, that is when I decided that after I moved back in with my husband and began dating him again, that I would officially go no contact with all of my biological family members. I did get messages. To this day, they are still harassing me and my husband. It is now 2025, and to this day, my biological family members are still harassing me and my husband. But, yeah, I got pregnant again in the fall of 2022. I think I got pregnant again within a few months. I was pregnant before 2023, and in 2024, me and my husband finally got legally married, and then we gave birth to our daughter a few months afterwards. So me and my husband are now legally married, and we now have a second child. I am a stay-at-home mom to my second child, and I have maintained physical no-contact boundaries with every single member of my biological family. Nobody that I am biologically related to has seen me since 2022. Secondly, there were all bans from meeting my biological daughter. My second child, who was just born, is my first daughter. I have a daughter. I am so excited. You know, there's just nothing more precious in the world than having a little baby girl, and her father married me before she was born, and we had a wonderful wedding. We had a wonderful little private wedding, and it was beautiful, and, you know, just everything finally went perfectly. And I think a huge part of that is because I had really made the effort to maintain strict no-contact boundaries. I'm also very proud of myself for that too. My biological family members got away with abusing me for 25 years. And that was it. These people abused me for no more than 25 years. And now that I'm protecting my daughter from them, they can't hurt her. They have since tried to invite me and my husband to places. They have since tried to be nice to us so they can meet our daughter. And just in my mind, when it comes to reflecting on how others have treated you, you don't just say, hey, can you overlook every mean thing that I've ever done to you since you've been alive? Every mean thing that has ever scarred you. Can you just forget about it? So that I can have access to your children? And no. You can't just hurt me for the first 25 years of my life, cyberbullying my husband, stalking, harass me and my husband, so you can be in my life when I told you I don't want you to be in my life. And now you want access to my children too. And these people found out about my pregnancy when they weren't supposed to know anything about my pregnancy. My birth mother asked to be involved in my child's life about 6 times before my daughter was born. I told her no. You and your husband are child abusers, you're pedophiles, you are not allowed to be anywhere near my child. People will never see me or my husband ever again in their lives. They will never be able to meet my children and bully them and abuse them like they did to me.